With us now, Ryan Burrows, ABC News correspondent from Chicago. Colin Kaepernick, Donald Trump. Everybody wants to serve a subpoena on Donald Trump. I'm a lawyer during the day. Ryan, I want to serve a subpoena on Donald Trump.
Sure, get him into a room, get him talking, right? And it depends
right.
on the topic. He might actually talk. It doesn't sound like he wants to talk about the Mueller investigation, but maybe, just maybe, he'd want to talk about the NFL and Colin Kaepernick. And that's what Kaepernick's attorneys are hoping for. They got to go through an arbitrator. They filed that grievance, you may remember, back in October, saying that the NHL, or the NFL, I should say, was voting against him, the owners, the general managers, and perhaps even the White House, to keep him from getting hired by a team. I mean, a pretty serviceable quarterback, and yet he still is not getting hired by any of these teams, and he thinks that there may have been collusion involved, to the point where the White House, at least Kaepernick's people think, may have had some kind of influence, whether it be talking with some of these GMs, some of the things that he's been saying at his rallies. And, even, do you remember, I think it was last season, the beginning of last season, when Vice President Mike Pence went to a Colts 49ers game and got up and walked out when he saw some of the players kneeling, all orchestrated by the Trump administration.
And again, I'm no apologist for the Trump administration or some of the things he says and does. It does seem to me, however, a stretch to think that you could subpoena the President of the United States to get involved in a dispute between a quarterback and the NFL.
This has several hurdles that it has to go over first. First of all, the arbiter has to say, yes, even though this is outside of the league, there is a value to hearing testimony from the president in this case as to some kind of collusion against you. Even if that is approved by the arbiter, then it goes to the White House, and then the White House could say, no, nuts to you, get out of here.
Yes.
Or maybe this is something that the president would like to talk about. He seems to want to grab on and talk about this at his rallies. Maybe it is something he'd want to talk about. So we'd still be several steps away from this actually happening, but it's kind of interesting to watch unfold.
As this does unfold, this whole NFL and the national anthem thing unfold, I think the president seems to have latched onto something that he finds excites his base, and that is the NFL and the national anthem. Are you seeing more of that from the president?
Yeah, ever since we found out last month that the NFL was telling, the owners were basically barring the kneeling, it opens up the opportunity for more protests in different forms. It'll be interesting seeing if on kickoff of game one whether or not some of these players begin participation in some other kind of demonstration to show their either frustration about the Trump administration, perhaps frustration still about police brutality, which is kind of how this whole thing got started. It's kind of morphed, hasn't it, from the initial protest and demonstration into something much larger that we even saw earlier this week with the Philadelphia Eagles being disinvited from the White House. By the way, the Eagles never kneeled all season long.
Absolutely,
and
not a one of them.
Malcolm Jenkins pointed that out, and during the Super Bowl, nobody kneeled. So, I don't know. We'll see how this, to be continued, I suppose.
Absolutely. One quick question, Ryan Burrows, ABC News correspondent. Do you think that if we stopped talking about it, that is, people in the media, the news, ABC News correspondents, the NFL, Fox Sports, if we stopped talking about it, it would just go away?
Well, it would obviously, the demonstration itself would lose a lot of its potent, but, a lot of its, the importance, I suppose. I don't know. I'm not really sure.
Yeah, this will be the third year that we've been talking about kneeling for the national anthem, and it just seems to go on and on and on. Ryan Burrows, ABC News correspondent, thank you so much.